Hi everyone. Today the movie which we are going to review is Toxic, starring Yash and few other mainstream actors. Is that all of us have a shadow self, and we don't even realize it until we are confronted with it. And this movie shows that clearly. There is no relevance, and the story completely travels in two different directions in the first half and in the second half. Any sort of meaning to it, it's just that saying, yeah, I am a mass hero. I am the mass. I am the action. I am the adventure. Rather, it was just elevation and elevation and elevation given to this particular character, where the character itself was very underdeveloped, right? And what are they trying to tell through this character is something that I have clearly no understanding of. I'm not here to tell that no one has done their work. Everyone has done their work, but has that work brought out something that you can rely on? Is the question that I have in my mind. And hi everyone. Today the movie which we are going to review is Toxic, starring Yash and few other mainstream actors, big stars. All right, the movie stars a lot of big stars, but I don't feel that all the movie characters were given prominent roles for what they could be capable of pulling. And to be honest, the honest feeling that I felt after watching Toxic is that there is no actual plot in the movie. And I'll try to keep this spoiler free. And even if I want to give spoilers to you, I can't give it because you will give spoilers only if you understand the movie, right? I seriously did not understand the movie, and I seriously can't give a spoiler because there is too many things that's happening in the movie, and there is no relevance, and the story completely travels in two different directions in the first half and in the second half. And to be precise, I seriously can't even tag this movie under a particular genre because this is not a movie that I can like tell, okay, this is a crime thriller, this is a psychological thriller, this is a horror movie or something. It mix and matches everything here and there. And in the second half, I felt that, yeah, okay, now the essence is coming out. But if you understand human psychology, then maybe you will be able to understand what the director actually wanted to tell through the story. But that was not carried out well. The execution was not there. And I have heard Yash saying that he has given 3 years of his time to this movie, or whatever the time that he has said he has given, and the team that has provided with efforts, a lot of efforts. When I watched the latest trailer, I felt like, okay, they have tried something like Hollywood, right? Like uh, the movie making style or the color grading and everything. Even the writing part, I felt like, okay, they are trying to make something close to Hollywood, and it was interesting for me when I watched the trailer. But after watching the movie, I seriously feel that there is a mismatch in expectations of what we were allowed to expect and what was there actually in the movie. And this is not just a gangster movie, and I don't know if the audience is still someone who will love shallow dialogues or shallow dialogues, in the sense the punchy dialogues which really don't have any sort of meaning to it. It's just that saying, yeah, I am a mass hero. I am the mass. I am the action. I am the adventure. Bro, this all feels too shallow for this generation when the whole generation has been moving towards finding nuances of their emotions and trying to express them out and be vulnerable, right? At this point, with this current generation, this kind of punchy shallow lines are something that I really don't think are working out and is not providing any meaning to the audience who's watching it. And there's a lot to say about this movie. uh, I don't know if it's positive or negative, but I'll just tell my honest opinion about this movie because I'm not here to tell that no one has done their work. Everyone has done their work, but has that work brought out something that you can rely on? Is the question that I have in my mind. And there is a lot of things which didn't match at all. First of all, the sound design. To be honest, it kind of felt like I was watching Transformers at some point because of the sound design. Like a normal human being fighting there, and I keep hearing these noises or the sounds that is close to what you find it in Transformers movie during the transition of the car into the humanoid robot or whatever it is into the transformer, and it was very not satisfying, I would say. The movie experience and the run time is dragged too much. The movie revolves around certain things only, and the actual story didn't have enough runtime. Rather, it was just elevation and elevation and elevation given to this particular character, where the character itself was very underdeveloped. Right? If you are trying to showcase someone starting from the bottom and then going up and building a legacy or whatever it is, there is no meaningful situations or evidences or scenes and story that you're showing around to make the audience understand that yeah, this character is developing and this is how he is developing, this is how this personality is turning out to be. And when that is missing, I seriously don't understand what exactly was the director trying to do. And how do I say this, that I feel a lot of things in this movie should have not even existed. And what are they trying to tell through this character is something that I have clearly no understanding of. Visually, if you see, the movie starts in a very, very dark tone and it continues being in the dark tone. And there is no any kind of positive or bright environments where the movie revolves around. There is constantly fights, there is constantly shoots, gun shoots, I would tell, and there is a lot of bloodbath, and I really feel it's unnecessary. And sometimes they even miss to uh, showcase that, like, the logic goes off because they are trying to show that this guy is an hero, he's a mass hero, he's an action hero, so we have to show scenes of him fighting. uh, KGF was a very different thing. The movie KGF and the sequel had a very strong story to it, and it was brilliant. But this particular movie doesn't have a story, and the storyline is nowhere it feels relevant in the first place. And the second part, the second half of the movie is a lot about psychology, and what they have tried showing is that someone who runs away from his problems and what happens to him when he keeps running away from his problems and how it impacts his life. And for that to be shown, they have shown Yash in a very dark shade in the from the starting of the movie, who is nowhere connected to himself, and also he has become this monster through his childhood. Right, I'll talk about the character, not about the movie. So uh, so he has become this cold-hearted person and all of that, and through whatever traumas that he went through his childhood, all of that is fine, and the ending that you tried showing is also fine. But it is fine to someone who understands a little bit of psychology or how a human mind functions and all of that. But it's absolutely crazy for someone who's a layman who can't understand these things. And when I say this, the main issue comes here is that if you're not someone who understands psychology, then you might find this crazy and you will not understand. You'll just feel that it's very weird, right? And you might not understand what that person is going through or why his actions are done in a certain way. And that is the main essence that this movie was. And I don't think so that they should have shown him in such a negative shade for the director to bring out the plot that this is what happens to a human psychologically when he tries to run away from his problems. But if you see, every one of us are running away from our problems, and we are not someone who can sit in silence and sit with our own thoughts, right? And this is very human thing. A lot of us tend to keep us occupied with something else so that we are not being confronted with our own self. Like, we don't want to face the mirror of our own, where we get to see or think about things which we are trying to run away from. And this movie tried showing it, and it doesn't have to be a bad person or a good person. Every other human is running away from this, and not a lot of people have the courage or the tendency to sit with your own thoughts, to face your old self, where you might have made mistakes or things you have avoided for a very long time. For example, you lose a person and you don't want to process that grief. That is you running away from your own mess, or your own problems, or whatever it is, however you want to name it or label it, right? So that way, this movie tried establishing something, but I really can't understand one thing, which is they could have picked a plot in the sense genre. Okay, if we are trying to establish this, about psychology, then let's take it that way. And the story could have been written in a very different way to establish this particular plot. It didn't have to be an adventure or a gangster or a horror movie. Sometimes I didn't even understand what, why, and there is a lot of what and whys in the movie that I really could not answer, because there is no flow to the movie. Even though you feel like there is something going on, you really don't understand why the character is behaving, why people are chasing him, and whatever it is not. I seriously was not satisfied with the movie and the way the movie was made, and uh, it shouldn't have been what it was. It could have been better, and that's my honest review. The run time is a lot, and the songs didn't make any sense to the storyline through which the movie moved. What are the good things that I would tell from the movie is Yash has given his whole to perform what the director demanded or what the director expected him to perform. And there is one thing that I would say that is that all of us have a shadow self, and we don't even realize it until we are confronted with it. And this movie shows that clearly what happens when your shadow self confronts you. And that is one good thing I would tell that movie has tried establishing. But if you don't understand what is a shadow self, or what is a personality that you're running away from, and what it creates to you, or what it tries to do in your life, then you might not understand this aspect. And this is not to put anyone down saying that you don't understand this. I'm just telling it. uh, they could have really done a better work. I have never been in a theater where I have seen audience count constantly in every moment of silence trying to troll the movie inside the theater, and it was not 1 or 2%. It was the whole crowd. Every single person was trolling the movie, the scenes, the dialogues, and everything completely and constantly. And I never saw a movie where when something emotional is happening and the people are cringing about it and they're trolling the movie. This is my first experience, at least in theaters, and I this was not something that I expected and meant. And I had seen few reviews, like Instagram posts saying that there is no storyline, and the movie didn't work well and all of that. A few of my friends went the previous show before I went, and when they came out, I see one person who's completely stuck, frozen, and I asked them what it was. They couldn't even explain. Right? I thought maybe it's like Animal movie. When I first watched Animal, I was awestruck that, like, the kind of violence and all of that. I didn't, never thought someone could do something like that in Indian film industry. And for 2 to 3 days, I couldn't comprehend what the movie meant or what the movie made me feel. And I thought that is the same thing that my friend is feeling. But it was not that, to be honest. If you ask me, did you understand the story? No, there is no way I understood the story or what the director tried conveying, and I felt disappointed, really disappointed. And this is not for the views. This is my personal view about the movie. And I even saw a few people posting that don't compare KGF and Toxic together. Both are different universes. Yes, completely agreed. We are not supposed to compare KGF and Toxic. And I wouldn't really compare any movie with Toxic because I don't know, bro. Toxic itself can't be compared or comprehended with any movie that I watched. First thing, I really didn't understand the movie. Understanding in the sense, not because I lacked the intelligence to understand, but the plot itself felt flawed, and it felt like hints development for me. And the story was in hints, and the action was the development they did. Like, for every 2-3 minutes of story, there is 15 minutes of action or 10 minutes of action, and that is something that I really can't understand or feel that why was it even necessary, right? And one more thing which I would want to tell people is that if you have any kind of trauma in your life, a mental wound or something that has deeply affected you emotionally or mentally, try to heal it if you have the awareness on what has happened to you or how it has impacted you. And if it is not something that you can deal it, try to take help. And this movie is not uh, an real example of how a man should be. This movie is exactly the example of how a man should not be. And Yeah, like how Arjun Reddy and Ranbir Kapoor in Animal movie, they were all out of control. Yash is also out of control in this movie as a character that he has played, and it's understandable that that kind of people and characters do exist in this real world, but they don't bring depth or meaning to anyone around them or to even themselves. They are just too shallow. So that is one thing that you can take away from the movie of how a man should not be. And Toxic Yash needs help in the movie, and I don't know how the movie is going to perform, but a lot of people were disappointed, including me. And I had people sitting next to me who were in constant discussions who could not understand what or why this is happening, and that will be a biggest drawback to this movie, because if the audience is not able to connect, even if let it be fictional, bro, let it be fictional, and if the audience is not able to connect to the movie or the scenes, then it's failing in that place, right? And that way it has failed for me and for the people around me who watched with me, or even the other shows. Do watch it in theaters if you are hyped up and have been waiting to watch this. But 3.15 hours, 3 hours 15 minutes is a very long time. The duration is very long, and if you're willing to give that kind of time to this movie, then definitely watch it in theaters. Signing off from Fractions. See you with an other review.